And we begin tonight with the key takeaway from the Republican National Convention as a whole event, what you might call a 4-day manstravaganza, where what on the right passes for manly politics, along with the abject supine kneeling worship of Donald Trump, which of course is not exactly the manliest thing a guy could do, all reign supreme. And that takeaway is that Trump is far from unbeatable. He's actually an extremely flawed candidate. Today, President Biden released a statement on Trump's speech, which, of course, was the finale of the RNC convention, saying, quote, "Last night, the American people saw the same Donald Trump they rejected 4 years ago. For over 90 minutes, he focused on his own grievances with no plan to unite us and no plan to make life better for working people. He avoided mentioning his Project 2025 agenda, but still proudly flaunted the worst of MAGA extremism." Biden also said he looks forward to getting back on the campaign trail next week. Trump's big campaign moment last night followed an introduction from the Ultimate Fighting Championship chief, Dana White, infamous for getting caught on tape slapping his wife during a New Year's party. And a shirt-ripping endorsement from Hulk Hogan, the longtime WWE character, now infamous for dropping F-bombs and suing Gawker out of existence with billionaire Peter Thiel's money. But needless to say, Trump really dug their presentations. And there was also failed rapper turned some kind of musician or other, MAGA character, Kid Rock. After the intros, Trump made a dramatic entrance, strutting onto the stage with his last name emblazoned behind him in bright, tacky lights. And he delivered what was essentially a rally speech, a bizarre and boring stream of consciousness rant full of lies, complaints, and xenophobia. All of this, despite Trump and some in the media assuring us that he was a changed man, seeking, what was it again? Oh, yes, unity. My colleagues and I, we all had the speech in front of us last night, okay? And the audience could also see the speech in this big teleprompter. So we were trying to follow along as Trump veered off script and deep into a rambling series of lies that stretched the speech from a timed like maybe 25 minutes to more than 90. Journalists in the room reported that as Trump just banged on, audience members were checking their phones, stealing glances at the teleprompter, slumping in their chairs, and even falling asleep. Some even left. I mean, the guy droned on for 90 minutes. Just imagine with me for a moment, if Joe Biden gave a rambling speech like Trump did last night, it would be the biggest story of the year. There would be almost nothing else on the front pages of every newspaper in this country and little else on cable and broadcast news. There has been a lot of ink spilled on Biden for doing far, far less. So why are we not talking about Trump the same way we talk about Biden? His unhinged performance is somehow normalized or acceptable because he's always like that? Well, why is he always like that? We have to have a real conversation about Trump's mental acuity. Because last night, Trump showed that there are two old men in this race, but only one of them sounds like a meandering Fidel Castro, who gave famously endless speeches, including remarks in 1960 that went on for 4 hours at the United Nations. Maybe we in the media should show Trump more? I mean, I'm serious. I know that all of you, that all of you have Trump fatigue. We all have Trump fatigue, and we all struggle, including on this network, with how responsible it would be to show a stream of lies to you. But maybe, just maybe, we have to keep showing the American public that this is a man whose cognitive health is definitely in question, if this is what he's like every time he gives a speech. It is more serious than Biden, guys. Yes, Biden is aging. He shuffles when he walks and forgets names and makes gaffes. But he's not incoherent. He can give us a prompter speech. He can go 90 minutes in a live press conference showing a command of foreign policy. Can you imagine Trump doing that? Trump last night, it's just on a different level. Let me just show you an apples to apples comparison so you can be the judge. You can be the judge.
I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world.
You know, it's nice to get along with somebody who has a lot of nuclear weapons or otherwise, isn't it?
And I, honest to God, have never been more optimistic about America's future if we stick together.
We will have our next Republican convention in Venezuela because it will be safe.
Now, just because we must lower the temperature and our politics is related to violence, it doesn't mean we should stop telling the truth. Who you are, what you've done, what you'll do, that's fair game.
Has anyone seen Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He'd love to have you for dinner.
I'm telling you, he thinks Hannibal Lecter is real and still alive. I swear he does. And yet, with all that you just heard, it is Biden who is fighting off calls from within his own party to step down. There are now more than 30 congressional members, more than 10% of the Democratic caucus in the House and Senate calling for Biden to exit the election. The pressure campaign is reportedly also coming from the highest echelons of the Democratic establishment, including Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and per some reports, even Biden's former White House partner, President Barack Obama. NBC News has learned that in the midst of all of that pressure campaign, members of Biden's family have discussed what an exit from the race would look like if he chooses to give in. And that's still a big if, with Biden's campaign pushing back hard against that possibility. In a new memo, they insist that Biden is in it to win it and will remain at the top of the ticket. Quote, he is the presumptive nominee. There is no plan for an alternative nominee. In a few short weeks, Joe Biden will be the official nominee. Folks, they said it is high past time that we stop fighting each other. The only person who can win when we fight is Donald Trump. That's the end of the statement. So if nothing else, Democrats need to recognize the truth in that last line. Given Trump's performance last night, the focus really should be on him, no? Democrats need to realize that the person that they are so terrified of is not some great unbeatable political colossus. Last night, he seemed more like a cognitively diminished old vaudeville performer doing his act for the nurses at the old folks' home.